Hi there, welcome back to another episode of Christian Dating. My name is Sally and I'm joined here by Constance. Hello, Constance.
Hello, Sally.
This is actually the second time we just recorded this because I don't know what just happened, and I'm telling you guys because I like to be open with our many subscribers. I'm joined here by Costanza.
Hello, guys.
The Italian.
The redneck equivalent of Italian.
The redneck equivalent of an Italian.
Costanza is the equivalent of Constance. And Sally is short for Sarah.
Yeah,
it's long actually for Sarah.
Yeah, it's the same amount of Constance. Like, why is it like made short? Like, oh, Sally.
No, I fucking hate nicknames that are longer than names if it's something that kills me.
Some people, they shorten really long names, like Sophie. Oh, basically, guys, Sophie is with family, so she couldn't be here with us today.
In case you were wondering.
She's not been replaced. I'm sorry. We do love you. We do love Constance. But unfortunately, she's Episcopalian, and I am part of the Lutheran Church.
Oh, God.
I don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
Don't ever talk to me again. I'm out.
Hello, back to Christian dating. Just kidding. So the recording has been. I'm just updating you guys because you're probably going to be wondering why there's no coherency from this, from 1 minute onwards. But
that's probably because we're schizophrenic.
Definitely, I would. That's something I would definitely say. So
just got diagnosed out the hospital.
Yes, that's where I picked her up, actually. They don't know she's here. Yeah. But yeah, we were just talking about our favorite, holidays / events. And I was saying mine is probably, Iranian New Year. And after you mentioned it, Halloween. Iranian New Year and Halloween have to be, my number ones.
Yeah.
And just, list yours off again.
Mine were 3, 2, 1. My first holiday is Halloween because you can be favorite, no, not first. You can be a slut and you can party. What was it again? Something like that.
Yeah, you said something about being you said something about candy, and I was saying can't we go trick or treating at this age? Because I really like trick or treating. It's fun.
But as I was telling our friend Sarah earlier, if you go trick or treating at our age, so after the age of 12, because we're 13, you may end up in a porno kind of scenario. But going back to holidays.
Going back to holidays, because not all of us live as exciting as a life as Costanza does.
Ooh.
my best date was with Julio, who passed away, unfortunately. I held a Viking funeral for him.
Oh my God, that was my favorite moment
maybe I'll
ever.
actually upload that on the channel.
This is gonna be in the comment, guys.
This is gonna yes.
Check it out whenever we share it on Facebook.
Check it out.
Make sure you open it on YouTube too.
Yeah, subscribe, like, comment, but yeah, and then
please
you're saying
don't
your
comment.
birthday.
Then the second place is New Year's, because you actually always end up having fun without the trick or treat part.
Yeah.
Or with it.
Unless you're weird like that.
Yeah. I mean,
the last Wednesday before the New Year, in Iranian culture, we celebrate the night before the last Wednesday of the year. Mm-hmm. So Tuesday night.
That doesn't make sense, but yes.
And basically, we jump over fire and just to signify stuff, because it's based on the Zoroastrian religion, and it's based on fire. But I feel like there was a loss of the cultural understanding, because fire is sacred to the Zoroastrians.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be jumping over it.
There is a tradition in Italy where you jump over fire.
But yeah, they have these big bonfires and they jump over it, and so that's what you do the last Wednesday before the year, and you do this thing called qashok zani, which is you wear some old bed sheet or your grandma's prayer sheet over your head.
Okay.
And you hold like a plate and you walk around in your building or whatever and you knock on it with like a spoon.
Try doing
and
it in Italy.
people give you candy and you act like old women.
Oh my god.
But you cover your entire
That's
face.
kind of cool. You could do that for Halloween. Just scare people away like that. Oh, you said no trick or treat. I'm gonna do
the spoon hitting. That's literally what it means.
That's what I'll do.
It's like, hey bro, you want to hit the spoon? That sounds like we're doing heroin.
Yeah.
Like, spoons, like
actually crack.
well, you can.
Yeah.
Isn't it with and you?
Yeah.
I've never tried heroin.
Yeah.
I don't plan on.
Not planning.
It's just like there's a big heroin culture, and it's not like
can we not?
you don't walk down the street there on and see
fast
heroin.
Forward.
So
taking it back from there.
How was your New Year's and Christmas and all that?
Oh my god, you don't really want to know. I want
thank you guys. Podcast over. We don't want to know. Podcast over.
I'm a great guest for podcasts. I have many stories.
Oh, I can't tell that. I can't say that. I can't. Just like give us like a general overview.
Okay, so Christmas, I was in Naples with my family, my mom's side of the family. I was sharing a room with my grandma, who is not your typical grandma. She's 84. She looks like she's 60. So she'll be intense, like a lot of energy. I love it. And then my sister and I ate all of Naples, like literally. In Naples, they fry pasta, but not only pasta, they fry gnocchi. And they deep fry it with breadcrumbs. I don't even know, they're perverted in their head.
I've never heard of that.
That's gnocchi sorrentina, deep fried. And they fry pizza. They fry everything.
Yeah, I've had deep fried pizza.
Yeah, but that's in Naples. So it's
but
probably
I haven't tried it. And I've actually never been to Naples.
Yeah, it was my first time. I don't know what the city looks like. I know all the restaurants, all of them.
Very nice. That's one of the most important things to know. What about New Year's?
New Year's, my friends Thomas and Silvio, they came to the south of Italy in Puglia, which is the heel of the boot. I have a little hotel there, Masseria Pavone. Shout out. You guys can come over.
Our first sponsor.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be 50 years.
Yeah, sorry. Fuck. Didn't pull out money.
Yeah.
So important.
It's okay. We'll forgive you. We're all friends and family here.
Yeah.
Piece of shit. Sorry, continue. So you're at your hotel.
We just had a great dinner. 3 of us. We ate food for 10 people. So much food that the guy at the supermarket, this 80-year-old guy who works there, he's like in this like kind of vulgar, how do you call it? Like dialect. He looks at me in this weird dialect and he's like, oh, is this shit all for you? And I'm like, yeah, no, it's actually like New Year's dinner. And he's like, how many of you? 10? And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Who asks that? Like, I mean, I buy like a shit ton of food from like, I mean, me and my roommates, we like go grocery shopping separately, even though they've like seen us together. But like still, like when I go in there, like it looks like I'm just buying food for me and I have so much, but they never question it.
That's nice.
Like, I mean, why do you, like, hey, bitch, like, I'm paying more.
Well, yeah.
Just accept it.
But that's like a little supermarket where the owner, this 80-year-old guy, he will talk to you, instead of euros, he will talk lire, which are money that were gone in 2001.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, he's like, it's gonna be 50 lire, which is the equivalent of 1 cent, probably.
Oh, so he doesn't even do, like, the conversion, like...
He just, no, it's like, the prices are euro, but he'll say lire.
Oh, he just says lire. Oh, okay.
One day I actually bought a hat and I was like, so how much is it? And he's like, this says 5,000. I don't know. And then in the end, it was the price from before 2001.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love Italy so much. It's so like, people here are just, I don't know how to put it into words. Like me and Sophie have definitely talked about like our experiences with like bureaucracy here.
Oh, that's intense.
Oh Lord. And but like one of my favorite things is like I had to like go get like one of my prescriptions that like my aunt, she'd emailed it, so she'd scanned it and emailed it, but she didn't give me like the actual copy of it. And I didn't know you needed the real thing. Like I figured because she sent it to me, I was like, oh, so this should be fine. So I took it there. I was like, hi, like, I just need this, like, prescription. And she was like, is this a photocopy? And I was like, yes. She was like, we can't accept photocopies. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that. And I was about to leave. And she was like, okay, don't worry. I'll just give it, like, you a month's worth. And I was like, that's all I need at the moment. Thanks. Like, I love it so much. Like, it's just, like, it's so chill.
Can I get some prescription methadone for only a month?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, honey, here you go. Like
I've been a bit stressed lately.
Yeah, like, yeah, that's my 5-year-old's handwriting, but he wants to be a doctor when he grows up, you know? I don't have a 5-year-old. I hope I don't.
She doesn't know yet.
Who told you? But yeah, no, my New Year's was like really chill. I had like a new queer's eve.
Oh.
Yeah, because like my gay friend and my bi friend came over. I'm not friends with them because of their sexuality. They're just my friends.
But that makes it
They happen
so
to be
much
gay
cooler.
because they're my friends. And yeah, so basically,
I've actually heard people say, I really need a gay friend. Can you introduce me to yours? And I'm like,
that's so weird though. Why would you like, what is like the purpose of needing, like, if other gay people want a gay friend, I kind of get that, because it's like, hey, I want like someone to like relate to.
No. They
you
just
know?
need someone to pick out their clothes.
That's so dumb. Like,
So
oh my god.
going to political correctness, which is our first bullet
Yeah,
point.
it's the first bullet point. Oh my god.
This is inverse racism right here.
Literally, like, there's so much of these stereotypes, and I love it so much because, like, in our eyes, in non-Western countries, we mostly like view like Europeans as gay, and like like specifically France. I think a lot of people think France is gay. They're like, I'm pretty sure if you look up why is France the first thing you'll see.
Until you start dating a French guy.
Oh, that is true. Those 9 inches of dick cheese.
Oh my god. I'm not gonna share this on my Facebook page. Kidding. Sarah said that.
Sorry about that, guys. What was I even saying before I said that? Oh yeah, but like, so my friend Giacomo, we were like
The D word. Go back to
dick cheese.
that one.
Dick cheese.
There's a disease called DIC, disseminated intravascular coagulation. And yesterday I was reviewing for the exam I just took.
You're reviewing dick?
And my friend was like, so what's DIC? And I'm like, wait, what are we talking about now? I thought we were studying. Get back to what matters.
It's like, hey, I'd love to think about that right now, but we
I
have
cannot.
studying to do. It's like, you obviously didn't study enough if you have to ask that question.
You're obviously dealing with the other thing.
Yeah.
Going back to Sarah's friend Giacomo.
He was, yeah, basically, we were like, oh, it'd be really funny if you did my makeup. And he's like, he's a really great artist. And, you know, I knew that he didn't know makeup, but I figured like he could at least do like a decent job to my face.
Did he?
Oh my god. He was so lost. And first of all, so he's Italian living in Milan. So like and like gay. So you have that like, oh my god, he must be so like like he's a good dresser and everything. But then you'd be like, oh, he knows his way around. But the poor kid was so lost. He fucking like, he took my beauty blender and took my highlighter and just started dotting it like all over. Like I had a mask over my nose and like on my lip like this of like highlighter, and then he took my
Oh, at least he knew where it was going.
yeah, and then he took my eyeliner pencil, put it all over my upper eyelid on one eye, and then he tried to do my eyeliner, which just turned into like layers of
Oh my god.
layers of blotches is like the only way I can describe it. And then he did an upside down cross on my forehead because he was scared of his creation.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
At least it's gonna look like you're dressed up for.
Yeah, it looks like there was an occasion.
That's your Halloween New Year. Sounds like my favorite party ever.
Perfect. A dress up New Year's party.
Yeah. So going back to the favorite celebration, the first one was my birthday because I'm the queen, and I'll force people to drink tequila.
You won't have to force me.
Yeah, Sarah drinks tequila. That's why we're friends.
Yeah, that's
also probably because she feeds me.
Sorry?
Also because you feed me. With
I thought you said also because she feeds. And I was like, what does that mean?
Oh my god, did I just miss something?
I've missed a lot of things, like my own birth. I don't know what that means, but
I was alone when I was born. That's probably why I'm trying to compensate with crazy birthdays. My dad was at a congress in the other side of Italy.
Where was your mom?
My mom was sleeping because her first pregnancy was.
But you were in your mother.
It was too painful to give birth to my sister, so the second time she just got a C-section, totally asleep. My grandma wasn't there either. My sister, no.
Well, yeah, that's what my birth. No, but my dad was like, outside the surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad sent his
I think it's, like,
PhD students.
second child things. Although my parents filmed my brother's birth, he was also a C-section, but they didn't film mine.
Yeah, fuck that.
But they did film when I was being chased by geese in Hyde Park.
Oh, happened to my cousin too.
Geese are terrifying.
They have teeth. I don't know if that's in Alice in Wonderland. Or...
No, they have teeth. Like, if you look at a picture, guys, just Google it right now. Picture of a goose with its mouth. Just Google it right now.
No, I'm actually gonna write down all the things we're gonna have to upload with this video.
Okay.
Goose picture. Did we talk about Julio's
Viking funeral? Oh, it didn't record Julio's Viking funeral.
So
I held a funeral for my beloved Julio, which is a vibrator, my first ever vibrator. Incredible. We met online. He was from the Amazon. He had 16 vibration settings. I miss him so much.
16? What the fuck?
16!
That must be expensive.
It was like
that's the
19 euros.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then like after he died, I went like a little crazy and I bought like 4 more toys. Well, technically 6 because one of them was 3 in a pack. Don't know why I'm sharing.
Oh my god. That's so intense.
I'm a very open person, so whatever. But anywhoomst.
One day I was walking in Milan. It was Design Week. Okay. And in Design Week in Milan, there is just a lot of people everywhere, stores popping up everywhere. So I'm walking and I see this little store. It's white, right next to my house. It looks like a designy place with plastic fruit everywhere, I guess. Okay. That's what it looked like. Walk in. First thing I find is this big, huge, like, black horn. It was literally a horn. A guy just shoves it on my hand and he's like, feel this. And I'm like, what is it? And then it starts vibrating. And then I realize I've just walked into a design sex shop and I just get like 5 people around me just like trying to sell me all their cool design vibrators. And I'm like,
what?
Wait. And he's like, look, this is like the strongest setting we had. And you just like were attracted to this when you walked in. And I'm like, I actually thought I was going into like...
I thought this was decor.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's this furniture? And they're like, it's cool, right? And I'm like, yeah, I mean,
like, the thing is, the good thing about those kinds of sex stories, I love how we're now talking about that, is you can, like, it could be hid in plain sight. Oh. Like, I'd seen, like, in my naughty days, I'd seen some, like, ceramic weed pipes, like, selling on Etsy that looked like, like, you could, like, easily put them around like as furniture. Like there was like one and I wanted to get it so bad. And it was like shaped like a chili pepper. Mm-hmm. And the way you stood it down is like it was on its side. But then when you turned it over, it had like a bowl and everything for you to like, it was like a one hitter. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. But it was like $50.
Oh my God.
And I was like, how frequently do I like just go like straight up kush? Like,
yeah. It's not something you really need. But just like design sex toys, I guess.
Design sex toys.
But the concept was cool.
The concept. Did you hear about what happened in the CES tech show this year?
No, what's that?
It's apparently like it's this tech website, and they do this like show where like each year like they introduce like the newest tech. And one sex toy got entered as nominated for best design, like best new technology or something, like this dildo, like vibrator, sorry. And because like the lady who designed it, she paired up with like a robotics lab with like and they like worked on biomimicry and like all kinds of shit. So like it can stimulate like any kind of action, like from fingering to oral.
Oh my God.
And it's so weird because if you look at the thing, it doesn't seem that way. But anyways, it got accepted. But then they banned it because they were like, oh, this doesn't go for our items. And then people flipped the fuck out because they were like, are you kidding? You guys were the first tech show to feature virtual reality porn. And this like, there was this like legal online brothel thing that like they like CES, like they took people, like they had this room and they had like 1,000 people like daily going into that particular like event. Like I'm paraphrasing the story, like the entire story is on BBC, and people were like, what the fuck, like you're letting like male pleasure toys be like, you know, like virtual reality porn isn't like discreet, you know, because it's like it's porn, like whoever puts it on sees porn. This thing, it kind of looked like a sex toy. Like, I didn't know it was a sex toy until, like, I read the article. But I was like, that's phallic shaped, you know?
Yeah.
And it was so weird. And I was just like...
Oh my god.
The world is a weird place.
Have you guys ever watched, since no one's gonna answer here, just write it in the comments if you have.
Yeah, let us know. Write it in the comments.
The Black Museum, by Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like... Spoiler, just like close your ears for, I swear it's gonna be like 5 seconds. Yeah, I'll put in a spoiler alert at the beginning. Well, in the end, all the sadistic people go see the guy. And I thought about it and I was like, there's actually people who would pay for that in this world. Yeah. And they're businessmen and it's, oh my god. Well,
I watched this, I don't know why it just reminded me of it, but I watched the movie. And I don't know why, because I love John Carpenter. He's a good director. I watched They Live for the first time, and it's really cool. It's like this sci-fi movie, and it's like, oh, the Earth is being controlled and shit. And you've probably, like, you know, the whole Obey brand. Yeah. It's based on that movie.
Oh,
so it's basically it's like there's this alien. I'm terrible with summarizing movies. Like in general,
we'll accept it.
We'll accept it. So, but it's basically about this kind of like sort of alien planet enterprisers who are just slowly taking over the Earth, and they look just like us, and they're influencing us through all of like the media and everything. And these group of people, like they find out, and they develop these like sunglasses and like contact lenses that when you put them on, you can see through like the filter that their signal is causing in human brains. And it's like when you put them on, they look like weird people, like with fleshy, skeleton-y faces. But it's like really cheap, like 80s. But like it's such a good, like I really enjoyed it. It's not like a cinematic masterpiece or anything, you know. It's not like, oh my god, the film work. But I will say one clear thing: the movie. I thought at the beginning, like, there were so many times where I'd be like, oh, this is such a cliche. But then they took cliches and they just, like, broke the cliche so well. Like, you were like, oh, of course he's gonna, like, run after the girl. Or, like, oh, of course this is gonna happen. But then you're like, oh, I didn't expect that. And I love that so much. Because, like, sometimes, like, certain movies, when they're predictable, it just, like, for example,
Bird Box.
Yeah, Bird Box was... Actually, the first time I watched Bird Box, I'm not gonna lie, I loved it. I watched it twice.
Oh my god, that's...
The first time I watched it, I really loved it. The second time I watched it, the issues I had with the movie, I was like, okay, it's just like personal things, like certain parts of the storyline I don't agree with. But when I watched the second time, I'd already like absorbed it. And it was just... I want to hear your thoughts on Bird Box first.
Actually, I was watching Bird Box the 31st of December, right before my New Year's, what's it called? My New Year's, craziness. And I found it so, like, American mainstream horror movie. It felt like I was watching The Mist, which I haven't even watched, but I already know what it's gonna be like. Everything else all together in one movie, so I just, like, my friends kept watching, and I got to cook the New Year's dinner. The dinner was amazing. When they finished the movie, they came back to me and they were like, "You're right, it was shit." And I'm like, "Okay, just have some meat."
I think the reason, like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, the first time I watched the movie, I was like, dude, this was amazing. This was so good. But then, like, the second time I watched it, like, and I even told her, I was like, some of the stuff I didn't like, it was just mostly like a personal opinion thing. But the second time I watched the movie, so many stuff was like, it was easier for me to pick out like certain issues I had with it. Yeah. Just like small things. I think the reason I was so starstruck at the beginning is because I love Sandra Bullock and Sarah Paulson. I think that, like, for some reason I was just like, oh my god, like, I love these two. And like, but some of the dialogue, and spoiler alerts, like, you know the scene where, like, John Malkovich is like, put that thing away, you don't know how to use it. So, Sandra... And then she goes, like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching with the shotgun.
Yeah, it's like...
It was so... Like,
why are you wasting that?
Exactly,
also?
That's all I could think.
You got 3 bullets to throw at fucking monsters. You don't even know where the monsters are, and you're just wasting them.
It was so cliche. It was just not cliche. That's not the right word. But
no, that was so predictable.
It was predictable. It was such a, because like Suzanne Breer, I don't know, the director. She was like nominated for 2 Academy Awards. She's only. She was the first and I think only Danish woman to be nominated for 2 like Academy Awards, and I was just
so did she get nominated because she was Danish or because
no
they're like, oh, we need a Danish person to win an Academy, let's just give it to Bird Box.
No, not the Bird, but like some of the parts of the movie, like the whole timeline of the movie, like when they were jumping, so fast. You get so lost quickly.
It's like, why are we going after, like, looking at this lady's action from 5 years ago? How are we gonna get to now if we're looking at every day of the first like 10 days, and then at one point it's been 3 years?
Yeah, like they just keep jumping. But even like I realized the first few days was at least like a few months.
Oh fuck.
The second time I watched it, that's what I realized. That's what started really bothering me.
Oh yeah, because they're pregnant, obviously. Also, who the fuck has a healthy baby after falling on their belly 5 times in a row?
Literally, she was in a car accident. She fell like on her stomach in the car, like she was on the floor.
And the babies are like, oh no.
Yeah, and like, oh my god, and her naming the kids boy and girl.
That's so predictable.
That was so like...
That's so Audrey Hepburn, but you're not that cool.
Yeah, like, I mean, the thing is, like, like, that was effortless. Like, Audrey Hepburn, like, did such a good job in that. Like, I love Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yeah.
It's definitely, like...
Cat.
Yeah, like, oh, he doesn't belong to me, I don't belong to him. But with her naming it that, it was just kind of, like, really hitting us on the head about, like, her character.
Yeah.
You know, like, I had read this, like, book that was, like, things they don't teach you in film school, and it was like show don't tell, which like I agree with. Like instead of like cheap clunky exposition, you know, where it's like, you know, you're walking down the street, hey, here's like a very interesting thing that happened but we didn't show because probably the producers wouldn't pay for it. So rather than do that,
when the sister walks into that's so typical of American movies.
Hey, dum-dum.
Yeah, or like a sister walks into the room and she's like, are you done not dating? And you're like, really? Like, well, you couldn't just show me that she doesn't have a boyfriend. You have to like expose that.
But they didn't just like expose it.
Also,
they just...
as a single lady, it kind of hit hard.
Oh my god. Turns out he was just a roommate. Like, I mean, but half the stuff like they say, it's like... So who talks like that? Like if I see you and like you tell me something, would I just like tell you everything you already know? Like would I recount it to you? Like look, I know like ever since like, you know, Randy left you, you've been stuck here, you've been painting easier. I know you found this, and I'd just be like, okay, dude, I know. Like we've established this a long time ago. Why are you telling us again?
Yeah, exactly. It's like every time I see those things, I can totally imagine, like, me walking into, say I walk into this room and I'm like, hey, Sarah, so when are we starting the podcast? And you're like, I'll be a bit late. And I'm like, oh, because you're making that roastery coffee that you really love making with the lemon tart you already told me 5 times you baked.
And you're already getting, like, a coffee shipped to you. And I'm just like...
I would be like, wait, who's recording now?
Yeah, like, it's just, like, weird. Did you just squeak?
I told you, I don't...
She just squeaked.
Guys, we probably didn't say it in this recording, but in the one that got deleted, you can take my voice. I'm giving you the copyright here. You can take my laugh and make one of those meme nerdy remixes out of it and become famous.
They should put your laugh over. This is such a dead meme, but the Gabby Hanna singing Monster. Maybe I'm the monster. And like you're laughing.
Oh my God.
I'm doing that.
Oh.
Mark my words.
Did you see the video that goes like January, February, April? No, March, April.
Jason Derulo.
Yeah, I found that amazing.
That was so
And then the remix
funny.
came on, and
I didn't see the remix.
It's oh my god. I find these things so time wasting, but I'm so attracted by human sociopaths that I guess that's why I look at them. Whatever.
I thought you were gonna say that's why we're friends.
That's why I'm friends with Sarah.
Yeah,
also.
I mean, why else? Like, would you display such self-destructive
So
behavior.
books!
Yeah, that's the next point. I know, I just wrote books because I started reading Murakami's newest book.
What is that?
It's Killing Commendatore. And it's I'm only like 30 or so pages in because I haven't had much time to like read it. But I love Murakami. Have you ever read anything by Murakami?
Yeah.
He is such, I don't know, especially to me, because he writes in a way that, like, the thing is, I realized that I'd been trying to write like that without even, like, realizing it. And I also found out...
Japanese, that's why.
Yeah. Like, and he also does free writing that when I found out, I was like, holy shit, like, we're one. Because I also do, like, free writing when I used to write.
Yeah.
I haven't written in
Welcome
so long.
to my world. I've been reading a book by Kafka.
Yeah.
And it's, like, just his notebooks, like, noting down shit.
Yeah.
And that's what I do most of the time. I just write down random shit.
Yeah.
And then I read Kafka, and he's constantly talking about good and evil. And I was like, oh, this guy's me. Here you go.
I love Kafka.
And he always talks about death and how death is beautiful.
Do you
and
like
people...
Russian literature?
I've never...
As a pessimist...
As a pessimist?
I'm not a pessimist, I'm a realist. The world sucks. There's no point to life, but why shouldn't you enjoy yourself? That's all I say.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna die soon, you know, sure, like the universe is gonna implode, but...
That's what I always say. I'm like, whatever,
like,
might
you
as
know,
well
just
make
like
it cool.
enjoy, yeah, exactly.
Be nice to people, or just don't do whatever the fuck you want to.
But like... But basically, what happened was,
That we were talking about Russian literature.
We were talking about Russian literature, and there is a really good book that I love, and I feel like it's a good segue to Russian literature for someone. It's called Notes from the Underground.
Oh, why do I know that?
You've definitely heard of it. It's by Dostoevsky.
Okay, yeah.
And I think it was his first novel that he wrote, and it's so like he writes such pessimistic, hateful characters. Like, the characters are so flawed and so terrible, but you can't help but feel attached to them.
Oh, yeah. It's like, have you ever read in Italian it's called Il Maestro Margherita?
Yes, the Master Mikhail Bulgakov. That's what one of my dildos is.
Yep. So keep going. And yeah.
The Master of Margarita.
I never got to the final chapter of it.
Really?
Because I hated the part where he was talking about Judas. Because I don't know, it confuses me so much.
Okay.
And it was 2 years ago now, so it's too late to pick it back up. But oh my god, it's exactly that. It's like all the characters are so fucked up. And you're like, I would never like to be like one of you guys. But in the end, you end up always being on their side for some reason. And also... Bukowski, amazing. Like, I'm not talking about the quotes that you get on Facebook, because I don't agree with any of those. But I have one book that a friend of mine gave me, which is called A Dog Coming from Hell. Oh my god!
That really hurt.
Sorry, just
guys.
had an accident. And a friend of mine gave me this book that's called Love is a Dog That Comes from Hell. Okay. And when I saw it, I was like 15, and this friend of mine, I hated him. He's like this, I don't know, I didn't like him. Okay. And he just gave me this book, and I'm like, wait, what is this? Why are you so nerdy? And then I start reading it, and it's all about poems about like life and death, but it's about love, but aggressive, like violent love. Oh. And in some way it's so flawed that at one point you think, oh my god, maybe we're all thinking that, we just don't do it because we have like social status to keep. I don't know. And it's fun that it's nice to see that like he's an alcoholic and I
really love flawed characters.
Yeah.
One thing about Murakami's books that I love is his characters are the most normal people. They're so content. They're so plain, actually. Yeah, and I love that so much because, like, that's, like, one thing I say. Like, I love strange movies and all that. And, like, sometimes, like I say, like, you don't need to have, like, a character with bizarre traits. You don't need to have, like, all the... You know, you don't have to over-exaggerate certain things. The best way you can make surrealism work is by making it relatable. Yeah. You know, like, it's like, oh, this guy, like, Murakami, like, one of my favorite books, The Wind-Up Bird Chronicles, he, one of the characters just, like, makes plain spaghetti. Spaghetti. I live in Italy. I call spaghetti.
them noodles.
But yeah. I put it in after. I'm just rolling a cigarette, guys, just for the record. I'm not doing anything weird to Costanza. I promise. No, but yeah, and he's just like boiling spaghetti, and it's just he makes that task so beautiful, almost like poetic. I mean, as pretentious as it sounds, it's just like everything he writes is just so captivating because you're reading it and you really get immersed in what he's trying to talk about. You know?
Yeah, so
the most basic things. I'm sitting on the couch, you're just like you visualize the entire thing.
And it's not about imagery. It's like I also like when I read a book by Murakami, I think it was either Norwegian Wood or Alice in I do not remember the title. Alice and
Wonderland, hard-boiled egg.
Yeah, something like that. Il Paese delle Meraviglie, altri whatever.
Hard-boiled Wonderland.
Something like that.
Something like that.
It's like weird.
Yeah.
It's like a journey through human conscience. And basically, while I was reading it, I realized that like the girl will be washing a plate.
Hard-boiled Wonderland and the end of the world.
Oh, the end of the world. That's what.
There we go. I had to look through the book. Yes.
So like when you're reading it, the girl will be like washing dishes, and you're like, wait. Oh my gosh, she's focusing so hard on it. Like, she'll look at the dish and she's like, this dish is as white as snow. And you're like, wow. And then I thought of one thing. The time I had my first, like, real heartbreak, I had been in a relationship for 3 years. And then I started dating this random guy. And I fell so hard for him. But then I got my heart broken because it's normal. Like, our relationship lasted 5 days. And
I'm going to be throwing fists with this guy.
And the funny thing is, oh my God, be careful. I'm not gonna say
that wasn't smooth. That wasn't. But yes, continue.
So, one thing is, I Googled how to get over a heartbreak because I knew it was like a shitty heartbreak. It wasn't like a real thing.
Yeah, so, it was like the kind of thing you'd Google.
Yeah, that you're like, it's not really I'm suffering. Yeah. I just want to not focus on it. Yeah, and so what I found was, whatever you do, whatever task you carry out, just put all of yourself into it. And one of the examples was when you're washing dishes, just put all of yourself into it. And so I would look at the white part of it, and that's how Murakami writes.
Like, my grandpa used to have, like, really bad depression. Luckily, he's finally started meds. He's, like, doing great. He's gained so much weight. I'm so happy. He's still skinny as fuck. He's fucking 175 meters tall, and he weighs 60 kilos.
Oh, my God.
He is, like, skin and bones, but he was, like, 57 last time I saw him. Wow. And so he's like nice and like a little bit chubbier and full. I'm like, oh, grandpa. No, but he also like he'd say like when I was like staying at my grandparents, I'd always like help them out, like wash the dishes, and he'd be like, no, leave that. And I was like, don't worry. He was like, no, like I want to do it to keep myself busy, and it actually helped him. It was like a coping mechanism, just washing the dishes by hand for him, and it was so interesting. But like he just has Murakami. Like I love it so much. He has this talent to make the most mundane tasks or the most mundane things, even like when he describes women in his books, the most like sometimes he describes really plain women and he even says, oh, she was plain but she wasn't a beauty, but you're still captivated. And like for example in Norwegian Wood, I think it was,
I know what you're gonna talk about,
her earlobe.
Okay, no,
what did you...
no go on.
No, but like he just starts describing this girl's ear. Oh, yeah. And, like, her earlobe. And it's so, like, in detail. And I was like...
I think that's the thing about Japanese culture is they look at the tiny details. Yeah. But there's one thing I didn't like about Norwegian Wood when he describes how they're, like, making love, I guess. Yeah. It's so awkward because it's exactly that. It seems mechanical. Yeah, because he, like, focuses on the tiny details. And he's not describing it like a romantic... writer where like they're like, oh, her hair was amazing, blah, blah. Yeah. She's like, she's naked, he's naked, they do the act, and that's it. And you're like, oh my God, awkward. Can I just be done with this page already?
Oh my God. But that's also like one of the things I like about it. It's just his characters just like don't care. They're just so...
It's just like watching
they do whatever comes their... Yeah, exactly. Whatever comes their way. Like, especially in this book, Killing Commendatore, like... it's such an interesting character, actually. His character, it's this guy who used to be like an abstract painter, but then he started doing portraits to make money, and he became really famous as a portrait artist. But he didn't do portraits as like, in his opinion, as like an artistic kind of thing. He just did it like, oh, this is something that's making me money. People like the portraits I'm doing and all that. But he's just like a regular guy. Like, you'd think like he'd be this like, you know, he's written this famous artist and he would be this like relatively like flamboyant, like to some extent, but he's literally like, he's a regular guy who likes painting. That's what it feels like. It just feels like my neighbor, like, potentially.
I feel like that's why people like Murakami, is because you don't get that feeling that when you're reading like romantic books. I'm into classics, so I always read that, or like Poemodi, so it's all like, oh my god, I love the figure of Byron and shit. And then you read Murakami and you're like, I don't feel inferior to this character. Fuck no, I'm the master here.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's wonderful. Like, there's also another writer who I really like, who kind of writes characters like these. Paul Auster is a really good writer.
What books did he write?
The New York Trilogy is his most famous
one.
one.
You gave me that to read.
It's so good. It's that book, because like I distinctly remember I was like 13 or something, and I hadn't been reading for like a long time. Like, I'd find books, but I just didn't enjoy them at all. Like, and I would just end up like leaving them unfinished. But then I discovered this book, and it's 3 stories. And the first book, I finished the first book. I'm not gonna spoil the book, but I finished the first story, and I was like, what? I turned back, read the last 4 pages again, and I took a 15-minute break, that's how stuck I was, like, literally doing nothing, and then I started the first story again, because I was like, did I miss something? What? Like, whoa.
That's me with 1984. I would only read, like,
1984 is a good book.
I would only read classics, like, old classics, maximum like 1915, and I would feel like it was too modern.
Shit.
And then maybe 1940, and then I would be like, at one point I was like, oh, you know, I probably don't like modern books because I feel like I already know all of it. I know how it's gonna go. And then someone told me, yeah, Orwell is a classic, but it's kind of modern in the way it's written. It's not like a romance and whatever. And when I got to the end of it, I was like, oh fuck, so there are geniuses like around us, I guess, and I can still like books that don't only talk about love. And so I started reading.
I just fell into this like rabbit hole of like postmodern literature, like the New York Trilogy, and and like After the Quake. That was the first Murakami book I read, and then that just got me like super into Murakami.
Have you read oh my god, what's the name of that?
I've read all but 2 Murakami books.
No, not Murakami. It's sorry.
Squeeze me.
It's what's it called? It's called like Very Close and Very Strong.
No, but I've been told like extremely close and very loud.
Very molto forte. Every time I have to talk about this book, I never remember.
I've heard it's amazing, and everyone's like, you should really read it. But what like it's the story of this kid whose dad dies in 9/11,
and this kid, like, the things he says, he doesn't talk like an adult at all, but he suffers from depression because obviously like your dad died when you were like
people say it's like heartbreaking.
And it's not only heartbreaking, it's also everything he says could have come from an adult's mouth, but an adult would never say it because he will never admit that he's depressed. Whereas the child, he's constantly like, I'm gonna die one day. I don't care about saying that. Like, I'll tell my mom even. And it's really cool. Wow. Also because it has that little like aura of fantastic stuff, like imagine stuff that a child could have around him. Wow. So he'll give death a face, but the face of death to him is not like, well, death, no, but like some other, like, he wants to be a scientist. When he talks about science, he's like, I make inventions. And so before going to bed, I always make inventions. And you're like, what does that mean? And his inventions are basically him imagining how it would have been if his dad had been saved. So he'll be like, before going to bed, I'll make an invention. My invention for today is what if airplanes could just bounce off of skyscrapers? What would happen then? And so he imagines a whole world where skyscrapers are bouncy and they don't fall apart, and so it's a whole almost a chapter about it, and you're like, wait, is this what a scientist is? And then you actually understand it is like a scientist is just someone with a lot of imagination, I guess.
Wow, that's very beautifully put.
It's good.
I really need to check. There's like a list. Like I also haven't. I don't know if you've read it, but The Kite Runner. I've heard it's like really heartbreaking. It's really depressing, but apparently it's really, really good. Like, my mom hadn't read it, but like her aunt had read it, and she was like, it's a really good book. And I really like books if they're well written, of course, like depressing books, because sometimes
that's the only thing.
It can be really just like, oh, we get it, like. It needs to be like done in a way that like
you're good depressed at the end.
Yeah, you're like, oh, like I felt the pain. Like one of my favorite books, it's this book by this Iranian author called The Blind Owl, and I would definitely recommend reading it. If you speak French, read the French translation, because this book, when I first read it, I read it in Farsi. The writer is Sadegh Hedayat. And the French title is La Chouette Aveugle.
I'm gonna write this down and put it in the links.
But yeah, I think I may have a copy of it if you want.
I'll take it.
But yeah, it's a really beautiful book. And the opening of the book, it begins by like explaining the narrator's dark, like, emotional pain. And the way he does it, it's so vivid, it's so clear to understand that, like, sometimes like when something happens on TV, like a guy gets hurt or something, and you not like you feel the pain, but then like like the same part of your body just like feels weird, like as if like you got like touched and stimulated. That's what it felt like reading that for me. Like when it was almost like I was getting that sort of like hollowness in my chest, like while I was reading it. But the English translation, I'm not even exaggerating. It turned like I have terrible memory, but I memorized the paragraph the moment I read it. That's how strong it was.
Wow.
The English, and like I was trying to find the quote from my friend, and I found the English translation, and I was like, Giacomo, I can't send this to you. And he was like, why not? I'm not exaggerating. He made that emotional pain sound like he was describing some kind of infectious disease.
Oh my God.
It was so depressing for me to see that, because it was like Sadegh Hedayat had been depressed for like the majority of his life. And something I love about him is that he moved to Paris, and like, if I'm not wrong, like a month or two after moving into Paris, he tried to commit suicide by jumping into the Seine, but then a fisherman caught him in his net, and he brought him, and he got so excited that he wrote a book about the benefits of vegetarianism.
So excited.
Yeah, and then he continued writing his like depressing novels, and then he ended up like actually killing himself by like gassing himself in the apartment.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
and he left like,
at least no one can stop you from that.
Don't do that though, please.
Don't.
Well, I'll probably link to a suicide hotline in case just anyone. It's good, but there's so much stigma with mental illness.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird.
I wrote this one thing a while ago. It was like I can't remember what it was about. Probably, I see that. I was like, so I spent a month in Berlin just having the time of my life for no reason. So Berlin. And I made so many friends. Okay, so the environment in Berlin is basically just like follow whatever you're feeling. Be friends with everyone and accept everyone. Wow. That's what people want you to believe. That's what I believe. That's not what people actually believe, but you can be a bit naive. So that's what I was doing because I was on vacation. And I was so happy at one point when I was there.
I remember.
Yeah, I was like so fucking happy. I loved everyone.
I'm in Berlin!
Yeah, I was like, oh, music, people, lights, colors, just like friends, not friends, whatever. Nothing can bring me down. And then I got to a point where it got kind of sad because I was like, I wish I could describe this feeling. I wish I could share it, but happiness cannot be shared. And so I wrote this one thing that was like, you know, being sad is kind of easy. And it's even like, it's kind of positive because when you're sad, you know you're sad. You can like rip your hair out and cry and just say you're depressed and you can put an end to it, you know, like suicide hotline. But anyways, like you like people kill themselves because they're sad. They whatever. Like
you lose control when you're sad.
No, actually you have control over the feeling because it's more material. You can tell people you're sad. You can cry. You can actually like put it out, like talk
when you're
about
happy,
it.
you don't
when
have
you're
like
happy,
an out.
You don't have an output when you're happy.
True.
Say you're in love, like you're really in love, like deeply in love, not just like crush in love.
Yeah, like and I totally get like no matter how much you say to the person, hey, like I love you, like to you it's not like you don't get it's not enough.
You cannot grasp love and you cannot grasp happiness. Like you can share it, but it's you can share it, you can write it down, but it's never gonna be material.
So true.
That's why it's so many people are sad and so few people are happy, truly happy. Because like being happy is not in our nature, honestly. Like we're finite and
dude,
like
you just blew my mind right now.
We're finite and the world is infinite and like people will be like, oh, I'm sad, I'm complaining, I'll cry for days, but when you're happy, you can't. Like, you're making love to the person you're madly in love with. Nothing's gonna change. Like, after the act, like, you're just gonna be happy to yourself. No one's gonna know people are still gonna die.
Like, I mean, like, when you're so happy, like, sometimes, like, it happens when I just, like, jump up and down. But, like, that's, because it's, like, the only thing my body can do. Like, I don't,
you cannot just, like, some people will say, I'm so happy I could die, but you don't die from happiness, you die from sadness. That's how material sadness is. That's how easy
like some
it
people,
is.
Like, I mean, like, they just, like, died from having depression.
Exactly. Like, you don't die from happiness unless you decide to actively do it, then don't.
Yay!
Yeah, you just explode, I guess.
Is that because I'm Middle Eastern? Is that because I'm Middle Eastern?
Well, so basically I wrote this like, one thing and
put.
And then I got to the conclusion that like whenever I'm sad, I'll just be like, well, that's the easy way out, honestly. That's the easy way out of life because everyone's gonna die and all that shit around it. And like the universe is infinite and it's probably gonna collapse at one point.
Exactly.
And you're just a point in life. Whatever.
But you do you.
Yeah. But like why I know this is like simply put, but like being sad is kind of the easy way out of life because you're like, I'm gonna die.
It's to hate and dislike.
Yeah, exactly. It's so difficult.
That reminds me of something my mom said that I really believe in, and like sometimes like I use it to like help me with things. And she said, because like my mom's like generation and all that, they grew up during like they had like the turning point in their lives, like going into puberty, like 10 years old or whatever. That's when the revolution happened, and you get like what went from like a very secular, modern, relatively westernized place to a very like strict like government that was like on Islamic rule. So you get that like huge turning point in your life. Then they get like the 8 years that was the Iran-Iraq war, and that's like when my mom had to like study for her exams or something. My mom's like, well, she's got ADHD, so, like, she probably can't focus on being upset for too long. But, like, a lot of shit has happened to my mom, and, like, also, like, the people, like, Iranians, like, in, like, their generation who went through this. Like, one of my dad's cousins, he, like, his only way out was he, like, walked to Turkey from Iran, and, like, he was homeless there for, like, a while because it was just unsafe for him to be there. So, but, like, I was talking with my mom, and she was saying, you know, no matter where you are, you choose whether to be happy or not. And that is so true. Like, I mean, I talk to, like, so many people, like, in our university, like, international students. They'd be like, oh, I hate Milan. Like, I really love Milan. Like, I genuinely, like, love living here. Like, you know, the culture. Like, I even, like, enjoy, like, the language. Sure, like, I don't, like, speak Italian that well. Buongiorno, pasta, pizza, Berlusconi.
That's all you need.
That's all you need to know.
Counting that Berlusconi is the owner of our university.
Lovely.
Keep going.
But yeah, and like, and they're just like not happy, and like they can never like tell me like a proper reason, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, why? They're like, okay, I understand maybe like the language gap, but like sure, like I've only been to like 3 of the Italian classes, and like some of the people I know in like the year above say that like my Italian is better than some of their like classmates. you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're the ones who go to the classes and all that. Like, they're obviously, like, not putting in an effort.
Yeah.
Like, once you've made up your mind about something, like the exact thing you were saying about being sad, it's so much easier to stay constantly sad. But you can say, okay, I'm here. You know what? I can make the most of it.
Exactly.
And that's, like, the thing. And, like, she really has a point. Like, she was, like, growing up in the middle of, like, a revolution, a huge, insane revolution, you know, where, like, the entire dynamic of your lifestyle, every aspect of it just changed. All of a sudden, your entire school system, your entire social life, like, the economic, like, every little aspect of your life just got changed during the point where you're about to hit puberty, you know? And then they were still playing in the streets. They were still enjoying themselves. They were like, you know, and I talked with my mom. I was like, you know, were you guys, she was like, yeah, even like when the bombs were coming, sure, we were scared, but like, you know, we were kids, like we would still find a way to have fun and all that. Like even when she was in like university and like with her friends, like even though Tehran was being attacked during the bomb.
In that case, you are constant, like sadness is given to you in that case and you don't want it. Like, you don't want to just accept it. You want to fight for something that is not that. Whereas people who are in a situation where they could possibly be happy or just like a little happy.
But yeah, you beautifully put it. It's so easy to be sad. Yeah. It's the easy way out, just being sad. Because like,
also Kafka said this. I was reading this last night. Kafka said something like he's very religious and metaphysic, and he talks a lot about like good and evil. And at one point he's talking about evil, and he's like, well, evil is earthly. And good is the sky. And that's why people prefer evil. It's not that they prefer it. It's just easier because it's earthly. Yeah. And the sky does not belong to us. So obviously, since like happiness belongs to the sky, it's so much harder to reach for the sky than to actually just like sit down in your bed and maybe just lie there and cry.
This was a very good ending point to the podcast, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like this was top tier. I love how we started off talking about dildos and sex toys, and now we're talking about the meaning of life. But yes, thank you all for listening. This has been Okay Martini.
It's been a pleasure.
With Sophie and Sarah. Today's episode was featuring the lovely Costanza. Hopefully we'll have you on again. This was great. Yeah. And hopefully with Sophie too.
And also subscribe and look at the links we're gonna upload.
We're gonna put some links up. Thank you for listening, guys.
Thank you.
Remember,
Bye.
like, comment, subscribe, and all that.
Have a great day and don't be sad.
Yes. Yeah.